I would start with a question. Have you been told that you could stand to lose some weight? From a health perspective, that, hey, maybe it would be good, your blood sugars, you just got some weight. If you have been told that, I just want you to know that, yeah, this resonates for me. I have been told I need to lose weight. Well, according to the latest data, 30.7% of US citizens are overweight, while 42.4% are obese. So that puts this weight and obesity thing at about a 72% of Americans. So, first of all, you're not alone. Second, shame off of you. We have been living through some stuff. And I'll say it to the day I die. Right now, we are in an environment around us that does not set us up for success. It just wants your money. It wants your time. It wants your appetites. It wants your affections. And all of that is energy. Money is energy. Time is energy. What you love and choose to do with your life is energy. And so we got an environment that's sucking you out to do things its way, and where God is calling us his way. So it's real. You're not alone. And I think we have good news for you today, because what we've commonly believed to apply for that losing weight formula is to move more and eat less. Move more, eat less. The calorie deficit is what you probably are very familiar with, which, P.S., is still true, but we're going to approach it in a really wise way by talking about nutrition for muscle gain versus weight loss. This is smart. This is how God designed us to be people who move. And to move, we have muscle. And as we have muscle, that's longevity, not weight loss. I love the thought when you're born, you don't look at a baby and like quickly go, we need to put some muscle on that baby. No, you don't. You got to put some weight on that baby. We got to just gain some weight. We want growth. But then as we go through life, we grow in all kinds of ways. And then environment, homes we're living in, our pain we encounter, trauma, all the things start then becoming the way we use food or our tools given to us to then kind of cope and get through life. So we're going to learn a new way today. If I were to ask you how many calories burned equals 1 pound of body weight lost, what would you say? How many people know that? You can do it in the chat. How many of you know right off the bat? X amount of calories equals 1 pound. Go. Who knows it? Someone already put it. Tammy, I saw Tammy typing. Good girl. Still true, right? Still true. Yeah, 3,500 calories burned is 1 pound. So then you do the math. You go, okay, well, if I eat 500 calories less and move a little bit more 7 days a week, I should lose a pound a week, blah, 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 blah. We do that. Okay, still kind of true, but also not necessarily the wisest thing to do. So the problem with that calorie loss deficit, if I just burn off these calories, I will lose some weight. The problem with that is weight loss, when it's energy displacement like that, moving those calories around based on a calorie deficit, that erodes muscle. It will eat away the thing that you need to create a metabolic burn. So the myth, here's a myth I want us all to stop saying. Muscle, we say this, muscle weighs more than fat. That's not true. Have you heard that said? Muscle weighs more than fat. That is not true. A pound is a pound. Muscle takes up less space than fat. Say that with me. Muscle takes up less space than fat. It's like the difference between a pound of cotton candy. I gotta have a lot of cotton candy. It's fluff. And P.S., fat has value. We need some of it. We just don't need too much of it. So it takes up a lot more space. And when we have too much of it, it creates a metabolic syndrome. We have all types of blood sugar effects, diabetes, insulin resistance, all the things happen when there's just too much like extra on us that does put weight on the body. But muscle is like having a 6-ounce fillet. Like muscle is when you eat steak or you eat like meat in a way that is a muscle representation. You are consuming the muscle of another organism for your own muscle. So just see that in your mind. Cotton candy, a pound of that versus a pound of a steak. There's very different. It takes more and more space to have the cotton candy than it does the muscle. So that is a myth. Don't ever say don't ever say that. But if someone says that, no, that's not true. It just takes up less space. So what else do we need to know about muscle? Let me get you so excited about this. This is the fun stuff. Skeletal muscle plays a huge role, mainly in driving your metabolism. Overall, what is your metabolism, everyone? Your metabolism is your energy exchange. How much comes in and how much goes out? How much do I need to consume and how much am I pushing out? That's what keeps you alive. Your metabolism, without your metabolism, you would become dust on the ground. No metabolism, no dust, or no body. But because you've got these trillions of cells in your body, oh, thank you, Apple Watch, trillions of cells, and inside your cells is something called a mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Power, it's burning. Right now, you have mitochondria happening so you can think. And your body's just sending off all this cellular energy. And when you have muscle, you've got more of that going on, more power. So think of it like a power plant. The more muscle you have on your body, the more the metabolism, fire of your body burns all the time. So it's good to have muscle on the body. Skeletal muscle accounts for 40% of your total body mass on average. 40%, like almost half of you in your body weight and metabolism is accounted for by your muscle. This is good wood for the fire. It burns long and slow. Muscle burns long and slow. It's good fuel, not quick, like sugars, quick, and then they're gone. Glycogen, it's quick. We need those. We need that too. Nothing wrong with glycogen, nothing wrong with fat. Those are your three main sources, macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat, carbs being your sugars. But muscle on your body is going to burn long and slow. So, P.S., I wrote a book about metabolizing pain. If you haven't read the book, The Body Revelation, I'm just going to shout that out because if we can talk about all these factors all day long, metabolism and muscle and all these physical things, which are really beautiful and wonderful. But if you have not dealt with the disappointment and the hurt and the shame and the things that clog you up energetically, causes stress in your body, which is what gets you to turn to food and disregard all the wisdom of anything else you've heard, like a good teaching, you got to get that. You got to get regulated in your nervous system. You got to come to the Lord with that heartache, the real heartache, before you start working on the muscle burn. Or you can do them conjunction. You can do them together, but just make sure you understand that's the real fire. God's looking at burning your heart to burn for him, and not just getting some muscle on your body. So I have to say that. Go for healing in your health. Amen. Go for healing. Go make sure whatever you're doing with your health, whatever you choose to do, ask yourself, how is this healing me? Not just how is this making me healthy? How is this getting me in a pair of jeans, whatever? How is this healing me as I go for whatever it is I'm doing with my health? Man, I could go off on that. There's so many things I've changed as a woman, 53 years old now. There are things I have to do for my healing, for my going. It's just different. I didn't have to do it when I was 20. And it's okay. It narrows me and gives me clarity of what I'm called to do so I can do it well, because it's not about me. I want to be good for the days that I'm here. So keep asking that question. How is this health endeavor leading me on towards healing? Keep Jesus at the center of your why when you want health, because if you do that, you will get healing. Keep Jesus at the center of just the fact, why would I even want to put on muscle? We'll talk about that. So you can be upright, so you can feel strong, so you can sleep better. And even more, some really cool things that muscle does for us that I hope you'll learn here as we go forward. Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, y'all, if you want to read more about a great book, Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, I think her book is called Strong, I believe it is, really goes into this whole, especially for women, because we haven't really been taught much about muscle. We're given little Barbie weights and afraid that we're going to get too big or get too bulky. But that is old thinking. So she really goes after giving women an understanding of our health in terms of muscle and strength. She has a quote, says, metabolic disease begins in skeletal muscle decades before the disease occurs. So what she's saying there is your muscle is telling you how healthy am I, how well am I, that the disease begins in muscle that begins to not be used, begins sedentary. We begin to put foods into it that actually erode the muscle, doesn't help it build. So the disease starts to show up in the muscle years before the actual disease or sickness shows. Muscle is responsible for 70 to 90% of insulin disposal or glucose disposal. This is a big, big takeaway. I want you just, if you leave here with anything about what muscle does, is when you eat food, when you have muscle on your body, active muscle, you engage it, use it, it's when your food goes in and then you create a sugar spike, glycogen, which turns into glucose and pushes out into the bloodstream. Muscle knows time to get to work. Let's start pushing this glucose and get it to where it needs to go. So if you have insulin resistance and muscle training and like the goal of putting muscle on your body, look at that. They don't coincide. If you have muscle, if you're training muscle for your body is going to start when you eat, the insulin, glucose will actually start to get out and into your body. So it's a glucose disposal system. Like think of your disposal, you're just in your sink, you put the trash in and it goes to work and out, it doesn't clog you up. That's what muscle's like. You put the food in and it just disintegrates and says, okay, get this out of the bloodstream so you don't become insulin resistant. Its primary job is glucose disposal. 70, 90% is responsible to only do that, which does that a lot. I hope that just gives you all a fresh perspective. It's not about, look how I look, my body fat percentage ratio, like that's something, but at your blood level, the thing that makes you you, the energy, the ability to be alive and think clearly, if you have more muscle on you, then you're doing your thing. And let's be clear, and when I say more muscle, there's a line. There's a line. We don't have to become, turn it into like Olympic lifting. Just be thinking, how am I building muscle and not eroding it? Muscle is the largest glycogen storage site in the body. Again, so it's going to hold glycogen and put it to use. We want that. We want it to store stuff for us for when it's time. I'm hungry. Okay, let's release some glycogen out into the places needed. It acts as an endocrine organ, secreting myokines that influence metabolism. Your endocrine system is like basically your chemistry factory of your body. Your hormones, neurotransmitters, anything that's chemicals in your body, your endocrine system makes that transfer. It changes energy into the stuff, and then you have the chemistry of your body, and then it goes into effect. So muscle acts as an endocrine organ secreting myokines. You might have seen this go around in social media. I've posted it, and I think it's like one of my biggest reels. Other people have posted it. It's not Dr. Casey Means. I can't remember who's saying it at the time, but it's a quote by a research scientist saying that our body produces hope molecules. Have you heard that? When we move, when you exercise, you are literally producing hope molecules. Those are myokines. So your muscle is filled with myokines. So the more muscle you have, the more active muscle you have, technically in a way, the more hopeful of a person you will be. You are able to squeeze out those, okay, I'm going to move my body. I'm going to be able to get upright, squat, lift, walk, run, whatever I'm going to do. And out come the myokines. Those are serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine. You begin to feel better. Change your state, change your mind, change your body, move, change your, man, I have put more walking miles on my feet these last months. I think my neighbors must be like, is she getting a divorce? Like, what's going on in her family? That girl's like never home. She's walking and walking. Like, I am but I clear my mind, engage my muscle, my brain, and just helps me secreting those myokines. So in our muscle is where those myokines hang out, and they just wait to get to use. That's so fun. God is so cool. Loss of muscle mass is called sarcopenia, and it starts to happen every decade. Really at 20, we hit our apex, and we kind of start losing more and more and more. And after 40, the percentage goes higher. I didn't look up those percentages, but you can look at it. It just starts to decline. That's called sarcopenia. And that is associated with metabolic dysfunction, including insulin resistance and increased risk of metabolic syndrome. If you are here, I'm going to list out 5 health markers. And if you can say yes to 2 out of 5 of these markers, you are at a risk for metabolic syndrome, which the greatest gift I could say to you today is move. Move. Get up and out of that chair. Do it 10 times. There's actually studies that show people who do 10 squats every 45 minutes lower their blood sugar, can lower their A1C. Just 10 squats every 45. If that doesn't tell you God's trying to say, hey, too much sitting, my people. We're becoming knowledge workers, and we're actually becoming kind of really unhealthy in that. We're just up in our too much head. Don't forget you have a body. Care for the whole house. So, metabolic syndrome, 2 out of 5. If you have a high fasting blood glucose, if you know your A1C is high, if you have visceral fat around your belly, 35 inches or more for women, 40 for men. If you have high triglyceride reading, then in your health report, if you have high blood pressure and low HDL, if you can say yes to 2 of those or more, that's metabolic syndrome. And because we love you here at Revelation Wellness, no shame. What can we do? How can we help? How can we help? No fear, no worry. The kingdom's not in trouble, neither are we. And that's why we keep resourcing you. Can we find you a Live Well health coach? Can we get you into a small group? What do you need? You're not alone. We're here for this. And it literally is the reason we exist. We're going to keep finding places for people to get the healing in their health. Okay. So if we have more muscle, we can fight off more of this metabolic syndrome. Makes sense because the blood sugars and all the things that come with muscle, we benefit. So I want you guys to think if the human body was a tree, then muscle is the fruit. And when we try to lose weight with a calorie deficit, we're literally cutting fruit off the tree. Just cut the fruit off the tree and look at my tree, but you have no fruit. So instead of cutting the fruit, we can treat the root system of the tree to keep producing fruit in and out of season. So when you have muscle on your body in and out of season, the fruit stays and the root system is healthy because we just learned your muscle is actually helping your endocrine system, your blood sugar, like your thinking, hope, like all the things are happening at a deeper level. So let's train the root system. How do we do that? By growing and caring for muscle 2 ways. Here are the main 2 ways that we grow and care for muscle. Number 1, resistance training. Yay. So shocking. Resistance training. And number 2, by creating a caloric surplus in our diet. Not a deficit, but a surplus. We're going to eat more protein. We're going to focus and eat more rather than less. And then that grows muscle.